Hello everybody, I'm Jalise. Welcome everybody to my No Time to Die movie review. Now here's the thing, everybody. No Time to Die, it's a mixed bag for me. I do not love this film. I think this was for the most part a very good film, but I don't think this was a great ending to James Bond, the character. Now Daniel Craig has portrayed James Bond 5 times. He's the first blonde Bond, and he just made it work. There's a lot of things I love about Daniel Craig's Bond. There's a lot of things I love about this film, but I gotta be honest with you, this film is definitely a mixed bag for me. Now, let's start off with some of the good stuff. The good stuff about this entire dang film is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is breathtakingly awesome. It's beautiful. This has some of the best action set pieces you're gonna see. This movie has a good color scheme. I really enjoyed it compared to Spectre, how it looked at the end. And there's a lot of great things about this film. Again, besides the music, besides the action, they got the characters of Bonds well. M is like that grumpy old stepfather that James Bond has to deal with. Q is like the little brother of Bond that Bond just loves to annoy, to get into trouble. Moneypenny doesn't have much to do in this film, but I enjoy her relationship with Bond in general. Now we got some of the new characters, the new James Bond. Now I gotta say this, I know a lot of people hate this actress, or like they don't want to see this film because they didn't get woke, get broke. For the most part, it's not that. They didn't really say, but like a Hollywood agenda to me in this film. I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like there was a big Hollywood agenda, female agenda. Female's gonna take over men. They're bashing on man. No, that's the media. The media, stay off of Twitter, stay off of the internet, because the fact is, most people here are just idiots. They just want to ruin things. They try to put agendas into films that don't even have a agenda. To me, I just think this was blown out of proportion because of media outlets, and I really don't think this actress deserved all the hate she got. Granted, she said some stuff that really should not have, she should have said, but still. To each their own, and I don't think the new 007 was bad. She has this nice little back and forth with Bond. They're both sarcastic to each other. They both try to one-up another. But there's a mutual respect between both characters. Bond doesn't really like she's a 00, and he's like, okay, you're a 00. Which one? Like, I'm 007 and all that. So I just really enjoy how she teases him and he teases her. There's a lot of good, nice back and forth. Now, her being a 00, like, again, I don't really care for her as a 00. I don't think she's a character that could have her own movie franchise, but we're going to see in the near future if she could live up to that mark. But to me, she's not the standout of this cast. She's not the standout of this movie. The standout is a CIA agent named Paloma. And she's a rookie CIA agent who works with Felix, who helps him out with James Bond. And she's just she's a quirky, awkward female fatale. She was the standout of this movie. She surprised me at how likable she was. She surprised me at how she wasn't trying to just to be the ultimate tough female assassin. She was just playing to her strengths. She works well with guns. She's not gonna go like, oh, I'm gonna go like. There was like some action scenes, but she played to her strengths. The movie portrayed her character in a way where it's kind of believable, and I really just enjoyed her character. She had a nice, quirky, bubbly attitude that really made her refreshing and nice. And I think she should get her own dang film. I would love to see her more James Bond movies if they keep her around. But to me, she was a standout. So I was like, that was surprised the shit out of me. I mean, where's this girl at? And I really do enjoy her as a character. Now, let's talk about some other stuff they got right. Madeline and Bond's relationship. I did not like in Spectre how they try to rush this love story. Yeah, like how she falls in love with Bond, how Bond's going to fall in love with her. But it's very believable in this film. I really enjoyed the relationship. And I see how Bond can move from Vesper to Madeline. And Madeline's a psychiatrist. She's a therapist. She could help really evaluate Bond's entire life. And I really did enjoy Madeline and Bond's relationship. I believed the relationship. I believed their love story. And I really did enjoy them. Daniel Craig killed it in this role. I think there's a lot of great stuff about this film that they did well. I think they understood a lot of the characters. But the problem is, as much as I love locations, as much as I love picture, as much as I love Moneypenny, Q, M, the new characters, it all comes down to story. And the story, for the most part, like, you feel like the story's picking up, and then it kind of falls flat for the third act. Now, there is going to be some spoilers from here on out, so if you don't want spoilers, you gotta leave, in my opinion. Well, before I go into the spoilers, let me just say one thing about Rami Malek as the villain. There were certain moments of his characterization I did enjoy, but to me, he ultimately falls flat as a villain. I think there were some creative decisions that they made in this film that I did not enjoy. I think they could have been better handled. And there's certain creative decisions that I think they could have done better, or they should not have done at all. So, this will be a spoiler review. So it is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out, because I'm going to spoil some of the stuff in the movie. They kill Felix Leiter in the most ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous way. Felix is just, to me, was just a very secondary character, James Bond, but I really did enjoy the fact that he had this brotherly relationship with Daniel Craig's character. I did not like how he went out, because how they did it was Daniel Craig, James Bond, and Felix are both in the room together. There's a guy right behind him that they know who is causing the situation. Like, the guy's, because Daniel Craig is interrogating this one guy with Felix and another agent. And the other agent is constantly interfering, like, he does not have access. He does not have access. He's panicking. And the thing is, though, James Bond and Felix, they don't sense, when they get that idea that this guy's not who he is supposed to be, or, like, he's not on our side, he somehow is able to both shoot Felix, hurt James Bond, and Felix dies underwater. Because they're in the ship together. And I did not enjoy that scene. I think they could have been better handled. How, like, they did it. Like, Felix and James Bond are two trained assassins. They're two, they're not, Felix is not an assassin, but he's well trained. How this movie portrayed it is just a guy who is, it's one thing if they don't know what the guy's talking about. It's one thing if the guy's just standing there, just talking, just watching silently. And because early on in the film, he was just like, he couldn't stop talking. He was so energetic. In this film, when Felix and James are interrogating him, I would have done a different way where the guy is not talking at all. And he's just staying there perfectly calm. And then the guy reveals like he's like this guy's here, the agent. You wouldn't see the attack coming, but how they played it off, where the guy's panicking, he says he doesn't have revealed this information. He's not revealed to this information. He doesn't have access. He doesn't have access. And since that situation arises, you know there's something off about that character. It was already predictable enough with that character just showing up with Felix and James Bond when they're meeting each other. But to have it like that just made it so obvious, and it made it so predictable. And I really find it unrealistic that James Bond and Felix wouldn't take this guy down in under 2 seconds. So to me, I think they should have done Felix's character's death better. I think they should have done the turning of this one side character, this villain, better. And I think it was wasted. I think they did it to have an emotional, like, you know how films did put something like an emotional depth to raise the stakes of the movie. And I feel like Felix's death was a missed opportunity. They could have done it better. They could have handled it better. And I understand if they want to kill Felix off. Do I agree with the choice? Not really, but I can understand it. But I did not like the execution of it. Now, the villain, played by Rami Malek. I understand a couple things. I understand why he killed Madeline's mother. I understand why he wanted revenge. I understand why he wanted to destroy Spectre. I understood those reasons. Now, the third act of him kidnapping Madeline and her child. What was the point? I think they could have said, like, he could have had this moment where, like, you're insurance in case Bond comes after me. If Bond even enters the place, I will kill you. And all this stuff. And I will take everything, what he loves the most. They could have added that scene. That would have fixed the entire scene as to why he kidnapped Madeline and why he kidnapped Madeline's child. But the thing is, though, he just comes off as this creepy dude who's very in love with Madeline, or he just comes off as a creepy dude with no explanation. And it just didn't work out that well to me. I really did not enjoy what they did with Rami Malek's third act. Like, oh, he has this device that is biological and James Bond needs to stop him. Okay, but why is he threatening the entire world with this stuff? What is his reason? And I don't really think the film did a great job with his reasoning. I understand 2/3 of the reason why he did what he did, the villain. But the third act just seems, hey, we need to have a villain at the end because we need to have a villain. James Bond needs to have a final villain at the end. and he needs to take down this guy. We get the guy is dangerous. We get he has this bio weapon, but they could have handled it better. Rami Malek's villain, and he just came off as a very, like, 2/3 he was just creepy, and I understood why he was doing the stuff he was doing, but the third act is just falls flat. It's like he just became a comic book villain at the end of the third act. And speaking of the third act, they killed James Bond. I do not enjoy the fact of killing James Bond at all. I did not enjoy the fact that they killed Daniel Craig James Bond. Because how they did it was stupid. Again, like, you can have a beginning, middle, and end. You can have those moments, but you need to have the journey of how it goes by. James Bond infiltrates the villain's hideout. He has to open up the surface, like this doors way, so the bombs could get, so the Americans or English could put like a missile and target this former nuclear base and blow it up. So he needs to open the doors. So that's what James Bond does. He climbs all the way to the top. He takes on every single side villain. He makes his way to the top. And usually in those movies, they would have the villain at the end, the final confrontation. But what they did is they have Daniel Craig succeed. He beats all the sidekicks. He opens the doors. Then he goes back down. The doors are closing. He runs back up. And the villain, which is, I don't know how James Bond didn't find Rami Malek's villain, shoots James Bond, hurts him a great deal, and basically James Bond is stuck there and he has to destroy this entire virus thing because it won't go away. But again, what's the whole point of even launching the missiles? You took over the entire dang place. There's nobody left there who could harm you. It's like they wanted to kill James Bond off, but they didn't know what they wanted to do. They didn't know how to get to that moment. They didn't know how to make the villain they wanted that villain at the end. They wanted Rami Malek's villain at the end. They wanted that final fight. But they didn't know how to get to Rami Malek's villain into that way. They didn't know what to do with James Bond at the end. To me, there's a great missed opportunity with killing James Bond. And even if they did it correctly, every single thing of how to go throughout the journey, I could like the death a bit more, but it wouldn't change the fact I still do not like it. I do not like killing James Bond off because here's the thing. This is another Tony Stark. Tony Stark dies. He leaves behind a child, his daughter. James Bond dies. Leaves behind his daughter, a child, a legacy. The thing is, though, with Tony Stark, he's a guy who was always living, enjoying the party life, sleeping with girls and all that stuff. And what made Tony Stark's arc was he needs to be the character to make the sacrifice play, as Captain America said. Like, you're not the guy who's going to make the sacrifice play to let the other guy crawl over you. To me, this was Tony Stark's sacrifice, and it was understood of his character, and that completed his arc. With James Bond, him dying did not complete his arc to me. Because it's easy for the trained assassin to die. It's easy for an assassin to die. It's a harder thing to live and to love. And to me, living with Madeline, trusting her completely, having a child together, raising that child together is a much more difficult path. And to me, that would have been a better ending of them going off into the sunset. It could have been predictable. It could have been, if some people said, oh, it's too goofy, it's too happy. I'd rather have James Bond live and actually try to experience something new in his life that he never experienced before. So to me, of all the James Bond films, No Time to Die was a mixed bag because they didn't know what to do. They did not know what to do. It's just they did not know how to get to that ending that they wanted. And they failed miserably at that. So to me, No Time to Die is a good James Bond film. I do not hate this film. I do not love this film. It's a middle road James Bond film for me. And I think for the most part, it is a good movie that respected its characters. For the most part, I liked the new characters. I didn't hate none of the new characters. It's just like it's like the third act just fell straight flat for me. And I don't want to rewatch it in theaters. I'm not going to spend more money to go see in theaters. And that's a disappointment. I will not spend more money to go rewatch the film to evaluate it more because I already know how I feel about it. And I already know, and I thought about it, like, how did we get to this moment? Why didn't they make it better? And to me, No Time to Die is a mixed bag. I'm going to give it a B. It is a good film, but when you look at it as the end of a James Bond movie, not a James Bond movie, but a James Bond character, for Daniel Craig's character arc, I think it falls flat. I'm going to give it a B minus. But the thing is, though, I will say this. Daniel Craig's James Bond, there was always a character or a story. No character had an amount of detail as Daniel Craig's James Bond. Like, there was always continuation of story with the other James Bond characters, but they never really had a true ending. Pierce Brosnan didn't get a true ending. He had Die Another Day, which was not the film that should have been his end. Timothy Dalton deserved another James Bond film. License to Kill, which is a better film, by the way. It wasn't the end for James Bond's character. Sean Connery, let's not even talk about his final film. Roger Moore. Again, it didn't feel like this was an end for a character. And if you were going to make an end to a James Bond character, I think it could have been better. I think the villain could have been better. I think the story could have been better. And I think there was a missed opportunity, No Time to Die. Again, I'm not saying I hate this film. I'm not saying I love this film. I'm just saying it's a good film, but it doesn't stick quite the landing. So, what's your personal opinion, everybody? What did you think to No Time to Die? Do you think it was a great film? Do you think it was a terrible film? Please let me know what y'all think, everybody. My name's Elise, signing off. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.